You have had an energy drink, maybe this morning, maybe yesterday. Maybe you have one in your bag right now, a can you grabbed from the gas station on the way in, something to get through the first few hours before you fully woke up. You did not think about it. Nobody thinks about it. They are everywhere. They are legal. They are sold next to the water and the orange juice, and the can says natural flavors and B vitamins, and the word energy, like it is doing you a favor. Kyle Mercer drank 2 of them every morning before work. He had been doing this for 4 years. He was 29 years old. He was an electrician in Dallas, Texas. He was physically strong, a non-smoker, with no known health conditions. He ran on weekends. He had passed a physical for his contractor license 2 years earlier without a single flag on anything. He was not the kind of person anyone looked at and thought, something is wrong with this man. He was the kind of person you looked at and thought, he is going to be fine. He looked like someone who had his health figured out. He was not. Kyle had been doing electrical work since he was 22. Residential mostly, some commercial. He was good at it. He could read a blueprint in minutes, troubleshoot a circuit faster than most of the licensed guys twice his age. He made decent money. He had a girlfriend, a dog, a truck payment, and a plan to get his master electrician license before he turned 32. He was 7 years into a life that was going exactly the way he had intended. On a Tuesday morning in July, Kyle Mercer drank 3 energy drinks before 9 in the morning. At 11:47, he was found unresponsive on a job site in a Dallas suburb. His heart had stopped. Kyle Mercer had been waking up at 4:30 in the morning since he started in the trades at 22. First can at 4:45, before he left the house, standing at the kitchen counter in the dark. Second can in the truck on the way to the site, sitting in traffic on I-35 with the radio on and the city still dark outside the windows. The brand he used contained 300 milligrams of caffeine per can. He had been consuming 600 milligrams of caffeine before 7 in the morning every working day for 4 years. The FDA's own guidance recommends a maximum of 400 milligrams of caffeine per day for healthy adults. Kyle Mercer had exceeded that number before the sun was fully up. He had been doing this for 4 years. Nothing bad had happened. His heart had tolerated it, or appeared to. He had never passed out, never had chest pain, never had a reason to believe the thing he was doing every morning before work was something other than what the marketing said it was. An energy boost, a legal product, something his coworkers, his foreman, the guys on every job site he had worked in 7 years did every single morning without incident. He had tried to stop once, about 2 years in, 3 days of headaches so severe he could not complete a full shift. He went back to the cans. The label did not mention that would happen. Caffeine dependence does not appear in the warning information on the side of the can. Neither does withdrawal. The American Journal of Preventive Medicine published a study in 2016, finding that emergency room visits involving energy drinks doubled between 2007 and 2011. The FDA received over 300 adverse event reports involving 5-hour energy shots alone between 2004 and 2012, including reports of heart attacks, convulsions, and spontaneous abortions. None of this information appeared on the label of the product Kyle Mercer bought at a gas station every morning for 4 years. On the Tuesday in question, it was 97 degrees in Dallas by 9 in the morning. Kyle had arrived on site at 6:30 for a job that was running behind. The foreman needed the crew to push through without a full break. At 9, Kyle cracked a 3rd can. He had not slept well the night before. The heat was already pulling at him by mid-morning. He needed to stay sharp. 300 additional milligrams of caffeine, 900 milligrams total before 9 in the morning. He had consumed more caffeine before 9 in the morning than most cardiologists would recommend in an entire day. For someone with a known heart condition, Kyle Mercer had no known heart condition. That was the problem. He told a coworker at 9:15 that he felt strange, not sick strange. His words were that his heart felt fast. Not in a way that concerned him enough to stop working, just fast. The coworker told him to drink some water. Kyle nodded and went back to work. He collapsed at 11:47. Here is what caffeine does to the human heart. Caffeine is an adenosine receptor antagonist, Adenosine is a molecule the brain produces continuously throughout the day. As it accumulates, it binds to receptors that signal the body to slow down, to rest, to sleep. Caffeine works by occupying those receptor sites before adenosine can bind to them, physically blocking the signal. The adenosine is still there. The fatigue is still there. Caffeine does not remove it. It hides it. When the caffeine eventually clears, everything the body was trying to tell you comes back at once. But caffeine does more than block adenosine. It triggers the release of norepinephrine, the body's primary stimulatory neurotransmitter. Norepinephrine elevates heart rate, raises blood pressure, and increases the force with which the heart contracts. In moderate doses, in a healthy heart, this produces a manageable physiological response. The body compensates. The heart handles it. At high doses, the picture changes. Caffeine at toxic or near-toxic levels increases the concentration of calcium inside cardiac muscle cells. Calcium controls the timing and force of each heartbeat. When calcium inside cardiac cells rises beyond a threshold, the carefully synchronized electrical signals that coordinate the heart's chambers begin to misfire. The ventricles, the lower chambers responsible for pumping blood to the lungs and body, can begin firing out of sequence. This is ventricular arrhythmia. In severe cases, the ventricles stop contracting in any coordinated way at all. They quiver rapidly and chaotically, producing no effective pumping action. No blood moves. This is ventricular fibrillation, and without immediate intervention, it is fatal within minutes. In a structurally normal heart, reaching that threshold from caffeine alone requires an extraordinary dose. Most people process 900 milligrams and end up with a racing heart, trembling hands, sweating, anxiety, and a very unpleasant few hours. They do not collapse on a job site in the middle of a Tuesday. Kyle Mercer did not have a structurally normal heart. He did not know this. No one had ever told him, because nothing had ever made it necessary to find out. Kyle Mercer had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, a genetic condition in which the muscle of the heart wall, particularly the septum separating the two lower chambers, thickens abnormally. The heart becomes larger and more muscular than it should be. The thickened walls stiffen the chambers, reducing the volume of blood the ventricles can hold and disrupting the smooth electrical conduction pathways that coordinate each heartbeat. In some cases, the thickened muscle partially blocks the outflow tract, the channel through which blood exits the left ventricle into the aorta. The heart works harder for every beat it produces. The electrical architecture is not what it should be. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy affects approximately 1 in 500 people. It is the most common genetic cardiac condition in the world. The great majority of people who have it do not know it. Routine physicals do not screen for it. You cannot hear it clearly with a stethoscope in most cases. It does not show up reliably on a standard EKG. An echocardiogram, an ultrasound of the heart, is what finds it. Most people never have one unless a doctor has a specific reason to order it. In many cases, the first symptom of hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is sudden cardiac arrest. The condition makes the heart electrically unstable. The abnormal muscle architecture disrupts the normal pathways of electrical conduction through the ventricles. People with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy are at elevated risk of ventricular fibrillation. Exercise dramatically increases that risk. So does dehydration. So do stimulants that push the heart's electrical and mechanical activity beyond what the abnormal architecture can sustain without misfiring. Kyle Mercer had worked a physical job in 97-degree heat for 5.5 hours. He was dehydrated. He had consumed 900 milligrams of caffeine before 9 in the morning. His heart, already electrically unstable in ways he had no reason to suspect, had been running above its normal rate since before sunrise. At some point between 9:15, when he told a coworker his heart felt fast, and 11:47, when he hit the ground, the electrical system reached a threshold it could not manage. The ventricles began to fibrillate. Ventricular fibrillation does not look like the cardiac arrest scenes in television dramas. There is no convulsing. The body does not seize. The person simply stops. Whatever they were doing, they stop doing it. They do not call out. By the time they reach the ground, they are already unconscious. The brain loses consciousness within 10 seconds of the heart losing output. One moment Kyle Mercer was working. The next moment he was on the ground and did not know it. A coworker found him between two vehicles in the parking area of the site. He was not breathing. He had no pulse. The coworker began CPR immediately. Another called 911. A third ran to the site manager's truck for the automated external defibrillator the company was required by Texas law to have on site. He used it. The AED delivered one shock. Kyle Mercer's heart restarted. The paramedics arrived 6 minutes later. His heart was in a normal rhythm by the time they reached him, but his blood pressure was critically low and he was unconscious. He was intubated on scene and transported to Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas, where he was admitted directly to the cardiac intensive care unit. An echocardiogram performed that afternoon showed what no previous doctor had ever looked for and therefore never found. The interventricular septum was significantly thickened. The outflow tract was partially obstructed. The finding was unambiguous. Kyle Mercer had hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. He had almost certainly been born with it. He had carried it through 29 years and 7 years in the trades and thousands of mornings, starting with 300 milligrams of caffeine in the dark at 4:45, and the heart had held until the day it didn't. He spent 6 days in the intensive care unit. Before discharge, the cardiologist implanted a small device beneath the skin below his left collarbone, an implantable cardioverter defibrillator, a machine whose sole function is to detect ventricular fibrillation and deliver an electric shock to terminate it before the brain is deprived of oxygen long enough to cause permanent damage. Kyle Mercer now carries a defibrillator inside his chest for the rest of his life. The cardiologist who implanted the device sat with Kyle and his girlfriend in the ICU the evening before he was discharged. She explained what had happened inside his heart on that Tuesday. She explained that without the AED on the job site, without the coworker who knew where it was and knew how to use it, without the 6-minute paramedic response time, Kyle Mercer would not have survived long enough for any of this conversation to happen. She told him the device was not optional. He told her he understood. He does not drink energy drinks anymore. Here is what the FDA knows about energy drinks and cardiac events. The agency's adverse event reporting system has received thousands of reports over the past 15 years linking energy drinks to hospitalizations, cardiac arrhythmias, and deaths. In 2012, the FDA investigated Monster Energy after receiving reports connecting the drink to multiple fatalities. The investigation did not result in a recall. It did not result in new warning requirements. It resulted in a request for more data. Energy drinks occupy a regulatory space that was not designed with them in mind. For years, many brands classified themselves as dietary supplements rather than conventional beverages. That classification meant they were not required to report adverse events to the FDA. They were not subject to the same pre-market safety requirements as food products. A company could formulate a drink containing 300 milligrams of caffeine, design packaging to appeal to young men in physically demanding jobs, and place it on the shelf next to bottled water without proving to any regulatory body that doing so was safe. There is no federal law in the United States requiring age restrictions on energy drink purchases. There is no federal mandate for warning labels specific to people with cardiac conditions. The caffeine content, when listed at all, appears in small print alongside the standard nutrition facts. There is no warning that says if you have a genetic cardiac condition you have never been tested for, this product significantly increases your risk of sudden death. The industry spends more than $1 billion per year on marketing in the United States. The most heavily targeted demographics are men between 18 and 34 and high school athletes. The products are positioned as performance tools for exactly the population most likely to have an undiagnosed cardiac condition and least likely to know it. 1 in 500 people has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Between 2010 and 2018, researchers identified dozens of documented deaths in young adults with no prior cardiac history linked directly to energy drink consumption. Many of those autopsies revealed hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or other structural abnormalities that had never been diagnosed. The pattern was consistent: young, physically active, apparently healthy, no prior warning signs, dead. Most never had an echocardiogram. Most never will unless something forces the question. Kyle Mercer forced the question by dying in a parking lot for 90 seconds on a Tuesday in July because a coworker happened to know where the AED was kept and happened to know how to use it. Do not consume more than 400 milligrams of caffeine per day. Read the label of whatever you are drinking and know what is in it. A single can of certain brands contains 300 milligrams. 2 cans before work puts you above the FDA's recommended daily maximum before breakfast. If you have ever felt your heart beat irregularly during exercise, experienced unexplained fainting, or have a family member who died suddenly before the age of 50, ask your doctor about an echocardiogram. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is hereditary. It is diagnosable. It is manageable when it is found before the AED has to come out of the truck. Kyle Mercer was 29 years old. He was physically strong, a non-smoker, with no known health conditions. He passed his last physical without a single flag. He drank what the gas station sold next to the water, what the commercial said would give him energy, what every coworker on every job site he had ever worked drank every morning without thinking twice. He had done nothing anyone around him had ever told him was dangerous. The machine now implanted in his chest exists to fix the problem the energy drink found. This is system failure. I will see you in the next waiting room.